Okay, hello, good morning, everyone. It's again Monday morning for today's lesson, all about our maritime English, which will be our week 50, first day one. So, our topic for today is all about different scenarios of emergency drills on how we are going to deal with a patient who is injured or worst scenario is there's death. Okay, so we will discuss about this because this is also important for our emergency drills. Okay, so for our part one of our lesson, our agenda will be about the introduction of the emergency drills. All right. Now, in a while, okay, uh, the next part of our lesson is identifying the patient, okay, and what emergency scenarios involve, okay, and then another is what will be our immediate response, no, and also how are we going to communicate with this kind of situation. And also, how are we going to manage different medical procedures, and how we are going to take care of the patient or the crew involved. And then, what are the different drills? How are we going to execute it? Okay, how are we going to evaluate everything about emergency drills involving injured patient. And of course, the last part will be our question and answer. Okay. Well, as we have uh, gathered or as we have learned from our previous lessons, there's always a question and answer because through this we will know how to how to have an evaluation of ourselves if we really learn something from our lesson. So these are all the agenda or topics that we have to discuss. Okay. With regards to the introduction of the different emergency drill involving a patient or the crew is that in this lesson, we have to learn different medical emergency drills or procedures on board a ship. Okay, and then we will have to focus on how to handle an injured patient or a sick person or crew on board. Now, in this lesson, we emphasizes the proper way or procedures of how we are going also to use maritime English during emergencies clearly. Okay? We will emphasize that. That's the reason why we are discussing about medical emergencies involving a crew injured or ill patient crew. All right. So as we go on, the lesson involves or covers an overview of a shipboard emergency drills. That's number one. And then secondly, a common medical emergency situations, of course, involving an ill patient or an injured patient. All right. So that's the second lesson we have to cover. Okay. And then what is the role of a crew member? Okay, during emergency scenarios. Okay? So, and then the fourth lesson is to know the importance of a clear and a correct communication using the standard maritime English on board. Okay? So, uh, uh, the overall coverage of this is that it prepares the crew members on how to respond calmly and quickly and effectively during patient related emergencies. Okay? So, in short, this lesson for today involves, of course, the crew members on you are how you are how prepared you are during medical emergency scenarios. Okay? Because here there's already involvement of an ill patient or a sick person or a sick crew member, and at the same time also it involves an injured crew. Okay? That's why this lesson is very important. Now, our objective here at the end of this lesson, okay, we or you crew members will be able to learn to first identify common medical emergencies on board. Okay? Common emergencies on board. As we go on, I will discuss about different medical emergencies on board. Okay, secondly, you have to understand the basic medical and emergency terms or words or phrases that you use at sea, okay, on board. And then also, you have to you have to be able to learn how to use a correct maritime English phrases, okay, during emergency drills. Okay, we have that. And then also, you have to be able to follow the standard shipboard procedures when handling an ill patient or an injured patient. Okay? So, for the purpose of emergency drill, of course we have to know why we are doing this kind of emergency drill, especially involving a patient. Why do we have to do that? What's the importance of that? Okay? Same as in identifying the medical emergencies. All right? The different medical emergencies. So it's almost the same. The um sorry, the the common um objectives, okay? And then the importance, okay? It's just the same with why it is to be learned. Okay? So for our um for our next topic, so the purpose and the importance are just the same. So regular emergency drills help minimize, okay, the panic and it reduces errors for in case of actual emergency scenarios. Also, it improve our overall safety during 12 patient emergencies. All right. So regular doing that keeps it keeps us confident, okay, to do the actual emergency scenarios. All right. So for identifying the patient and then the emergency situation, okay, when we say patient, okay, this is the person or the crew on board. It's either he is injured or either he is ill, all right, or he shows he shows sign of physical, okay, or sometimes mental distress, all right, and then also, of course, once a person or a crew has these symptoms, of course, it requires medical attention. Okay? That is what a patient on board means. Also, maybe it may be a crew, it may be an officer, or for a passenger ship, it may be the passenger or maybe the visitor on board. Okay? Those those are examples of different scenarios to be called that you are a patient, okay, on board. All right. Now, for for the example, okay, it says here that examples of patients on board. Yes, as I said, it could be the crew member itself, okay, who slips or falls on on the floor. Okay? So basically, he's suffering from injury. Okay? Or sometimes a person or a crew or the officer or the passenger is experiencing chest pain or have a difficulty in breathing. All right? Those are examples also of patients on board. And then for the chief cook, maybe he suffers burns or cuts or fractures. Okay? You are already considered patient. Okay? And then also sometimes a person who becomes unconscious or maybe disoriented because of personal family problems. Okay? So by through that, you require a medical attention. So if in that case, you are now considered patient on board. Alright? So for for common causes of injury on board, okay. There are several examples. Like for example, typical situations, no, that lead to injuries or illness. One, uh, you fall, okay, you slip, you trips due to uneven floor or surfaces, or sometimes due to wet flooring, no, you slips, okay, and then also like for example, in the engine room, there's injuries from machineries. Okay. Also coming from the tools or maybe from the moving equipment. All right. Those are common causes of injuries on board. And as I said earlier, for the chief cook, no, for the chief cook, they are prone to burns, no, from hot surfaces, from the steamer, or maybe from the chemicals, okay, from the engine room, from the engine department or the engine room. They are prone to chemicals exposure, okay. And for the deck, okay, some maybe they are prone to fatigue, especially if there's a 24-hour operation in the port, no? And then some are dehydrated, or some are exposed to heat stress, especially if you are in a in a country or in a port that is in a Middle East area. All right. So heat stress is common. And for the chemical tankers or from other tanker vessels, exposure to hazardous substances also is prone, no? Is common. And then for like for example, for the senior officers, they are also prone to heart problems, or some for seasickness, no, for the new crew. Okay, so all these common causes of injury on board, no, understanding this, of course, okay, causes helps understanding these causes, no, these common causes helps the crew, okay, prevent accidents and respond quickly to a certain situation. Meaning, if you were able to understand all these common causes, okay, it prevents uh, crew members from accident. Okay? So, this is actually uh, easy if we will just prevent the situation. So, for the signs and symptoms of a patient, okay, meaning how are we going to identify, okay, a medical emergency, okay, of the person, of the patient, or the patient. So, the common signs and symptoms includes, okay, how are we going to know? Of course, one, common, ha? We're talking about common. It's severe pain, okay? That's very common. Severe pain. Another, there is bleeding, okay? Or there is swelling. So, meaning, once a crew member is suffering from a severe pain, okay, and also if there is bleeding or swelling, okay, you are already considered a patient on board, okay, because severe pain is not a joke, especially bleeding, no? And for swelling, well, uh we can do an emergency help for that, or we can make an emergency treatment for that. Okay, another common signs and symptoms to identify that it needs a medical uh, emergency help is that if there's difficulty in breathing, of course, that's very dangerous. Okay. And there's chest discomfort. All right. That's already a common sign and symptoms for in identifying that you are already a patient on board. Another, there is dizziness. Okay? There is fainting already that is present, or loss of consciousness. Very common term for that, you collapse. Okay? Loss of consciousness. It needs a medical emergency help. Okay? And then burns, fractures, or visible injuries. That is also a sign and symptoms. There's nausea. There's vomiting. Okay? There's already confusion present. Okay? And then there's a sudden weakness or there's an inability to move. You are already experiencing or you are already giving it a sign and symptoms that needs to have a medical emergency help. Okay? So recognizing those signs and symptoms, okay, early detection allows the crew to provide an immediate assistance. Okay? And then you have to call a medical support for that. Alright? So those are the common signs and symptoms. Okay. If those are present, okay, in a patient on board, we have to know what will be our immediate response and how are we going to report that. Okay. One, emergency response. What will be our first action to take? Okay. When, if ever, okay, a patient is discovered, okay, the crew member must remain calm, okay, and then make sure that the scene is safe both for the patient and the responders. Okay? You have to make sure that the area or the scene is safe from hazards. Both, not just for the patient itself, but also for the responders. And basic, do not move the patient unless necessary. Okay, and then you have to call for assistance immediately. Okay, immediate attention should be given to prevent the situation from getting worse. All right, that will be your first action to take or to make. First, you have to stay calm. Okay, stay calm and then you assess the situation. Don't you ever move the patient unless it is necessary. Make sure that the area is safe both for the patient and for the responders. And then you call for assistance immediately to prevent the situation from getting worse. Okay? That is your first action to take. Okay. How are we going to check the patient? Now, you were able to report it to your senior officers. How are you going to check the patient? Okay. The basic assessment, okay? The responder should quickly check the patient's conditions. Okay? Depends on, or you have to determine the level of urgency. How immediate. Okay? One, what are you going to check? Of course, you have to check the level of consciousness. Okay, you have to check that. If he is still breathing, okay, or if he has still a pulse. Okay, you also have to check the signs of pain or distress. You have to check first, okay? Also, you have to check if there's bleeding or if there's a visible injuries. That's how are you going to check the patient's condition. Through this assessment, it helps determine what's the next actions and how are you going to report. Okay? Again, how to check the patient's condition. First, you have to check the level of urgency, the level of consciousness, if he is still conscious or not. Secondly, you check if there's still a breathing happening or if he still has a pulse. Next, you check for signs of pain if there is. Okay? And then you check for any bleeding or you check for a visible injuries if there is. Okay? And through that assessment, it helps you as a responder determine what will be your next action to make. And then, what are you going to report if you were able to check the patient? Okay? So, how are you going to provide? Okay, so now you were able to identify the patient. You were able to identify the level of urgency. Okay? So how are you going to make a first aid? Okay? How are you going to make a first aid for that? All right. The basic care while the responder or you are waiting for help, okay? The crew member may provide a first aid, all right? First aid to stabilize the patient first. But remember the golden rule for that. Do not move the patient unless it is necessary. Alright. Examples of how are we going to provide basic first aid just to stabilize the patient. First, you apply pressure to control the bleeding. If bleeding is present. Okay? That is why it is important to have a training for this before going on board. Because it could save lives or life. Okay? So, first, if there's bleeding present, okay, you apply pressure to control the bleeding. Okay? And then, if you think the patient can move, no? He can move. So, meaning, you will not have a hard time identifying uh, if he can still move his body, no? If in that if that is the case, all right, you have to place the patient in a safe position. Okay? And also if in case you have to keep the patient warm and calm if he is experiencing hypothermia. And then you monitor the breathing. Okay? monitor if he is still unconscious or if he's still conscious. Okay, you monitor the breathing. So, first aid, okay, should only be given within the responder's level of training. Do not attempt if you do not know how to handle, like for example, applying pressure on on a bleeding part of the body of the patient. If you are not capable or if you are not well trained to do that, it is better to call for help. Okay? Although first aid should only be given within the responder's level of training. Okay? That is why before going on board, it is very important to have a training for different medical emergencies. Okay? All right. Now, how are we going to report that to the bridge? Okay. Why do we have to report that to the bridge? Okay. And why reporting is important, basically. So, all medical emergencies, okay, must be reported to the bridge. Any, all, it must be reported as soon as possible. In order for the officers to coordinate a medical response, okay, and can make decisions, okay, regarding on what is the next step or action to do. That's why reporting is important. Okay, what are the different informations to report? All right. One, the location of the patient. Okay, you have to inform that. Next, what is the nature of the injury or what is the cause of the injury? And next, you include what is the condition of the patient. Okay? You have to include that. And also, lastly, what was the action given? Okay? Or what was the first aid given to the patient? So those informations are important. Okay? In doing the report, you have to report the location of the patient. What is the cause of the injury? What is the condition of the patient? And what was the first aid given to the patient? All right? That is very important. So those are the things you have to report to the bridge. Okay. In reporting, there is a standard reporting phrases. All right? Standard. So we have here examples of a correct maritime English phrases. Okay. How? First is bridge. This is engine room. We have an injured crew member. The patient is conscious but in pain. There is heavy bleeding from the left arm. First aid is being administered. Medical assistance is required immediately. Those phrases are examples of correct maritime English. Because by using these phrases, it makes sure that there's a clear information, and they can understand properly. Who are that? They, the bridge. Isn't it? That is the control system. So all medical injuries, you report it to the bridge right away. How? By doing this. For example, bridge, this is engine room. We have an injured crew member. The patient is conscious but in pain. There is heavy bleeding from the left arm. First aid is being administered. Medical assistance is required immediately. That is how you are going to report to the bridge. Clear and will be able to understand. Okay? Again, how are we going to report? It goes like this. For example, bridge, this is engine room. We have an injured crew member. The patient is conscious but in pain. There is heavy bleeding from the left arm. First aid is being administered. Medical assistance is required immediately. That's how you are going to report to the bridge. Okay? Next. Okay. It says here that importance of clear and simple communication. Okay? Through this, okay, you have to avoid confusion during emergencies. Avoid. Okay? You have to do complex sentences and slang should be avoided. Okay? Messages must be short. It must be direct and easy to understand. Okay? A good communication practices is you have to speak slowly and clearly. Speak slowly and clearly. You use standard maritime terms. Okay? You avoid unnecessary details. You have to be direct to the point. Okay? And you repeat critical information if needed. Alright? That is the importance of a clear and simple communication. It must be short, direct, and easy to understand. Avoid complex sentences and slang should be avoided so that it could be easily understand. Again, this is how you are going to report. Bridge, this is engine room. We have an injured crew member. The patient is conscious but in pain. There is heavy bleeding from the left arm. First aid is being administered. Medical assistance is required immediately. Clear and short. Okay? Not complex, not slang. Okay? It should be avoided. Alright. Now, how are you going to communicate among crew members? Alright. First, there should be a team coordination. Meaning, team coordination. One or two persons or two or three persons involved. There should be a coordination. Okay? There should be a clear communication between the crew members Okay? And the responders. Okay. Why? It should make sure that there's an organized and effective response. Okay? What are the examples? One, of course, how do you have to have a team coordination? You have to give a clear instructions. Okay? You have to confirm the messages that you receive. And then, after that, you coordinate with each other. What is the role of the other team and what are the actions of the other team? A good teamwork depends on effective communication. Okay? A good teamwork depends on effective communication. All right. So, the fourth part is how are we going to take care of the patient and what are the medical procedure? All right. Patient on board. Okay. Our overview to that for patient care on board during emergencies is that first is the safety. Okay, the safety. And then you stabilize the patient. And then you have to have a proper coordination. Okay? So, the patient care on board should focus on the safety. Okay? Should focus the safety. You have to focus the stabilization. Okay? The stabilization. And then you have to have a proper coordination to that. Okay? It is very important to have that, a proper coordination. Because your main goal here is to prevent further injury to the patient. Okay? The main goal here is to have or to prevent further. The main goal is to have to prevent further injury. Okay? So that is how you are going to take care of the patient on board. Okay. This is only temporary, no? The medical assistance you're doing. Okay? Until, of course, there's a professional help is available. All right? So, next is the safe movement of the patient. Okay. So, when moving the patient, okay, if it is necessary, okay, the patient should only be moved when the area is unsafe. So you have no choice to that. If in case, for example, the patient is already experiencing burns, okay, and the location of the patient is unsafe, okay, you have no choice. Okay, you have to move the patient out of that unsafe area. Okay, because of course it is not safe, so you have to remove him from that area. And further treatment is already required uh, elsewhere, not on that unsafe area. That's why you have to move him out of that location. And if transport is needed, Okay? You have to arrange that. Okay? Transport from to the ships, to the medical facility. You have to do that. So, unnecessary movement of the patient, okay, can worsen the injuries. So, you have to first remove the patient in an unsafe area, okay, in order to have a first aid treatment elsewhere, okay, and then report that so that he will be transported, okay, to a medical facility, okay, because we are refraining from unnecessary movement because it can only worsen the injuries of the patient. Okay? That's why when moving the patient, okay, you have to have a proper training to that. Okay? So, all right. Yeah. This is now the next. The proper technique for patient movement. Okay. How are we going to move the patient safely? First, we have to use a stretchers. Okay? Or a spinal boards if possible or if it is available. Okay? You have to support the head, the neck, and the spine. That is why spinal boards are important. Okay? You have to move slowly and carefully. All right? And then you follow the proper lifting techniques to avoid, of course, further injury to the patient. So, correct handling of the patient, of course, it protects him from further injuries. Okay? So again, how are you going to have a proper technique in handling the patient? Use the stretchers or spinal boards if it's available. Okay? You protect, you support the neck part, the head part, and the spine area. And as much as possible, you have to move it slowly and carefully. Okay? So you follow a proper lifting techniques. Of course, to avoid further injury to the patient. Okay? So now we are now on how to transport the patient on board. Okay. For the safe transport procedures, you have to make sure this is the stretcher, no? You have to make sure the patient is secured on the stretcher. Okay? It should be secured or he should be secured on the stretcher. You have to assign enough crew members to assist. Okay? You have to assign. Like for example, 2 to 3, much better rather than doing it alone. You ask for help. All right? And then you keep the communication open. You should have a clear, okay? A clear communication. Okay? And you have to avoid sudden movements and obstacle. So, here, team coordination is essential during patient transport on board. Okay? That is very important. The team coordination. Again, how are we going to transport the patient on board? First, you have to make sure that the patient is well secured on the stretcher. You have to be on a team. You have to assign enough crew to assist you. 2 to 3, much better. And then you have to have a communication. It should be clear during the transportation or transporting patient. And then, of course, you have to avoid sudden movements. Okay? You have to avoid that. So, medical facilities, okay, while on board, there are only limited equipments. But there are available medical areas on a ship. Only they are limited, right? But they are equipped, no, with basic medical facilities. Like you have your ship's hospital or medical room, right? And then you have a first aid stations. You have your medical emergency lockers, right? Although it's not really I can say that it's well equipped. It is well equipped, but only it's not the same as if you are in a hospital. All right? You have your own ship's hospital or medical room, but it's limited. Okay? You have your own first aid stations. You have your emergency medical lockers on board. Okay? But medical facilities, like in a proper hospital, is really different. Okay? So, also, you have your different medical equipments on board. Okay, what are those? The common medical, you have your first aid kits and bandages. Right? You have that. You have your oxygen supply and tanks and masks. Right? You have that. You also have this AED or your automated external defibrillator. This is very important during work if you have heart problems. Okay, if there's heart problems involved. Okay, and another, this is a sample of a stretcher. Okay, and a splint, this one. Okay, and of course, the basic medications like paracetamol, and you have painkillers, you have different basic like for fever, for diarrhea, okay, for pain relievers, anti antihistamines. You have that on board, the basic medications. Okay? And most important is that the crew members must know the location and proper use of all this equipment. No? The different medical equipment, the first aid kits and bandages. You have to know how to use that. The oxygen, no? The defibrillator, and the stretcher, the splints, and the basic medications. You have to know where that is located, and of course the basic how to use the equipment. Okay? That is very important. And The second officer is in charge to that. Okay? So, the duties and responsibilities, okay, of the ship's medic is that he's responsible for assessing the patient's condition. Normally, it's the second officer. He provides medical treatment only for first aid purposes. He must know that. He gives instructions to how to assist the crew. And then he's the one responsible in coordinating with the bridge and with the external medical services. That is why the second officer has a first aid training. Alright? Because he is the one responsible as the ship's medic. Okay? The ship's medic. He is the first or he is the person responsible to do the uh the medical treatment, the basic only the first aid basic treatment. Okay? It's the second officer. All right. So next, the role of the assisting crew member. Okay. So the assisting crew member can help by following the medic's instructions. Okay? He prepares medical equipment. He monitors the patient. Okay? He maintains a calm and safe environment. In short, he is the nurse on board. So, teamwork makes sure or ensures that we have an effective patient care on board. Alright? So if the second officer is the one in charge as the ship's medic, he has to have an assisting or assistant crew member or like a nurse on board. Alright, he monitors the patient, he maintains the environment is safe and calm, he prepares the medical equipment, and of course, he follows the second officer's instructions. Okay, that is the role of the assisting crew member. Okay, so documentation and external medical communication. Okay, the bridge or the medic may also communicate with the shore-based medical services. Of course, for advice or maybe for advice, not just for advice, for help if the patient needs to be uh, to be evacuated. Okay? Both the bridge and the medic. Okay? So there should have a proper records. Okay? So all the medical incidents must be documented. It should be accurately documented and it includes the time, the location of the incident, what was the patient's condition, and what did the patient felt the time, okay? And then what was the first action that you provide, okay? And the names of the involved crew during the incident. So, that is the proper way to document the situation, okay? So, it should be the bridge and or the medic, okay? Can communicate with the shore-based medical services. Okay? So, when it comes to patient monitoring, there should be a continuous observation to the patient. That is how we are going to monitor the patient. So, for the initial treatment, okay, the patient must be closely monitored for any changes. Okay? Because continuous monitoring, it ensures early detection of complications. Okay? And also, of course, we will know if there is an improvement to the patient. That's why it needs to be monitored. And how are we going to monitor the patient? One is to check if he is conscious, if he is still breathing. Okay? Second, you can also check the pain levels he's experiencing, his vital signs. Okay? You check or you better watch for any signs of a worsening condition. Okay? And then, of course, if there's changes to that, you have to report it immediately. You report the changes immediately to your superior or to the bridge. Okay? That is how you are going to monitor the patient. Okay. And then, okay, let's go to the drill execution and evaluation. So, our say to this for the drill execution, okay, in this stage, it focuses on the actual performance of the patient emergency drill, right? That is really what is happening during emergency drill. So, the crew members should apply what they have learned, okay? Including correct actions, the communication, and the teamwork. Okay? So the goal here, okay, why we do this emergency drill is because we have to stimulate or simulate a real emergency, okay, as safely and realistically as possible. Okay? As much as possible, we perform the emergency drill safely and realistically as possible. Alright? That's the reason why we have to have an emergency drill. We focuses on actual performance of the crew on board. Okay. Now, emergency drill simulation. Okay? During the simulation, the patient scenario is announced. Yes. Crew members respond accordingly to assigned roles. Yes, of course. Medical procedures and communication are practiced. Yes, you have to do that. As safely or as safely as safety rules are strictly followed. Okay? So the drill tests, readiness and coordination is very important. Simulation. You are acting like you are doing a real scenario. That's what simulation means. Okay? So, now the coordination, as I said, working as a team, Each crew member must perform assigned duties, right? You have your own duties. Now, the orders and instructions are clearly followed. It should be when you are working on a team. So that is already an effective coordination to make sure there's a smooth response, no? There's a the crew performs their own assigned duties, okay? And then the orders or the instructions are strictly followed. And of course, the bridge oversees, okay? And it coordinates, okay, with the actions taken by the crew member or as the working team. Okay? That's how a good coordination among crew members. You work as a team. All right. So, what are your role assignment during the drill? Okay, the clear responsibilities. The typical role includes first responder. You report to the bridge, the medic or the medical officer. There's assistant and safety observers. Okay, each one of this has a clear role assignment, of course, to improve, okay, efficiency, and accountability. Okay, so each have a clear responsibilities during the drill. All right. So you have your each assignments. So during communication, there are mistakes that may occur during drill. The common error here, one is using unclear or incorrect phrases. Maybe because there are sometimes on board there are different nationalities, right? So the common mistakes during drills is there's an unclear or incorrect phrases that were used. You're speaking too fast or too soft, failing to report important details. You failed to report important details. And lastly, you are not confirming the messages that you received. So those are all common errors made during drills. All right? So during emergencies, okay, like working, as I said, for example, there is more than one nationality on board. So you are already working a multinational crew. Okay. So each nationality, you have different cultures. You have different language backgrounds. Okay. So we have to respect it during emergencies. The communication styles, but do not forget that you have to follow the standard maritime English phrases. That's why you have to use simple and direct language. You avoid a slang or informal expressions. Even if there is more than one nationality on board, you have to respect their different communication styles. Okay? As long as he follows the standard maritime phrases. Cultural awareness support teamworks. Okay? And mutual understanding. We have to do that. Respect. Okay. During emergency, it's not only the patient that we have to keep safe. Also the responders. We have to protect them also. So the priority is that what we're going to do is do not rush into the unsafe areas. Okay? You have to use your PPEs. You have to follow the safety procedures. Okay? You have to avoid lifting the injured patient right away. So, a safe rescuer can provide better care as long as he is well trained. Okay? So, in emergency situation, okay, declaring that it is already over, okay, when the patient, of course, is already stabilized, okay, the medical care is already completed, and the bridge officially declares the end of the emergency. So, clear communication is required to avoid confusion. Alright? It should be the bridge that will declare that the end of emergency is present. Okay? So, how are we going to review the drill performance? Of course, there's evaluation, right? So, after the drill, okay, crew members discuss what happened, right? And then you have to know the strengths, the weaknesses, okay? You have to identify that. And then communication and response times are reviewed, right? So evaluation, a post-drill evaluation helps improve future drills, right? It is important to have a post-drill evaluation. Okay. Now, how are we going to improve? Okay. So, after the drill, how are we going to improve? So, what are the learnings? Of course, suggestions are welcome for better communication, of course. So, you can improve the coordination, the teamwork, okay? And if ever you need an additional training, it should be rectified. It should be implemented. So continuous improvement increases a safety on board, right? It should have a continuous improvement for the safety of everyone. Okay? So, um, for our last part with about the feedback and improvement, you have to have a clear feedback. Okay? You have to have that so that you will know what are the errors, what are the mistakes that were made. Okay? So, this is the end part of our part one of our emergency drill, medical emergency drill involving the patient injured or a patient uh, involving an ill patient. Okay, so we have discussed the meaning of a patient. So what we have learned from how to respond properly, how to do the process, how we are going to report. Okay, so who is responsible for the first aid? Who is responsible for the reporting? And so for our next topic on Wednesday, that's already our part two of our lesson. So we will still continue with our discussion about this. This is only the part one, okay? So I'll see you all on Wednesday for our 51st day 2 of our lesson of our maritime English. All right? So I'll see you all on Wednesday, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you for today's learnings. All right? So bye.